Hi, it's David Ship here from Coaching Construction. I wanted to do this video to look at a management theory called situational leadership. We do a questionnaire in some of our trainings where we basically help people realize what their preferred and dominant management style is, and we're using a model called situational leadership, which is being developed by two American gentlemen. The names escape me now, but what I'll do is I'll put them when I edit this video. But basically what this looks at is two types of behavior by a manager or a leader. So if we have a look at the model here, and at the bottom here we've basically got a scale of low to high, and this is directive behavior. So directive behavior, you may imagine, is you're directing someone, you're playing a major part in actually how you position someone when you're leading them or managing them. It's very kind of one-way conversation. You're directing them, you know what needs to be done, and you're asking them, telling them how to do it. The next on this left-hand side here of this model is the next type of behavior, and that's supportive behavior. So again, you can imagine support. What does support mean? Support means that you're there. It's maybe caring, and you're looking after someone. And so a supportive behavior in management or leadership is that you're looking out for that person. You care. It's different to directive because it's actually like you're their backup. So they're the two different behaviors that this model and theory looks at. And what we're going to do is look at there's 4 boxes, and basically these look at the different kind of arrangements of directive and supportive behavior when you're managing or leading someone. So we'll start in the bottom right hand corner here. And basically this one here is called, so we look at it, it's high directive behavior, but it's low supportive behavior. So this here is directing. So this directing management style, what can we say about that? So as we say, it's high directive behavior. So when we're looking at the management style here, or the leadership style, it's a very one-way conversation. It's very, you know what's happening, or the manager knows what's happening. They have to get that information communicated to the person that is actually carrying out the work, and it's very much do this, do that, this is how much time it should take, this is the quality it should be, and this is, it's very, very one way. I know what needs to be done, you're there to be done to do it. I'm going to communicate that in a very directive behavior. So this here is a directing management style, leadership style. The next one here, as we move up, is a still high directive behavior, but it's also highly supportive, and this is called a coaching management style. So the difference between directing and coaching is really can be summed up to that it's now, instead of a one-way conversation, this is what to do, this is how to do it, this is how long it should take, this is more about a two-way conversation. So I've shared in other videos to do with asking open questions. So if you haven't watched those videos, open questions is basically the questions where a person will find it very difficult to say yes or no. That's a closed question. So the open questions begin with what, where, why, when, how, all those ones where it's more difficult for someone to actually give a yes or no answer, because if you're saying something like did you have breakfast this morning, someone will go yes or no, and unless they want to share more, they can just stop at yes or no. Whereas if you said, what did you have for breakfast this morning, that's a lot more, they can't, that's not a question to be answered with yes or no. That is a question to be answered with, well, I had Weetabix or cornflakes or something similar. And these questions is not just related to breakfast, it could be anything within work. So we're moving from a one-way conversation to a two-way conversation here into coaching. So high directive, because you're still actually it's still, I know what needs to be done, or the manager knows what needs to be done, and it needs to be communicated, but it's actually it's more of a two-way conversation to make sure that they understand it and asking open questions. Moving on, so top left hand corner here, so now we're basically moving down the directive scale, so it's a low directive but it's still high supportive. So this one is, as you would imagine, is a supportive management style. So really the difference, again, moving round, is that the supportive is that it's really this direction, is that maybe you now trust the team member or the team more, and what you're doing now is that you're providing them less direction. They probably know what to do over time, or whether it's like a new team member comes in and they're more experienced, and you're reducing the amount of direction to them, but also being there and supportive. So there'll still be the open, the open questions don't stop, but it's more that you're taking the direction away and providing a supportive management or leadership style. So that's supportive. So we've gone through directing, coaching, and supportive, and then finally this bottom left hand corner here is delegating. So delegating is low direction and also low supportive behavior. So delegating, it's a term that we're probably all familiar with, and it's where you need something to do and you're delegating that to be done. But this is where you've got low support because they know what they're doing as they're moving around, like so for directing, coaching, supportive, down into delegating. And direction is because they know what they're doing again. So but what's really important about delegating, and we explain this to people that come along to our training, is that this does not mean that it's no support and no direction, but it's knowing that the team, the individual or the team can do that work, and moving through to delegating is that you can take the direction off and take the support down as well, because you can trust that those team members and individuals can do the job in hand. What's really interesting is when we do this training is that, we have a questionnaire that we send out during the training. We can do it online as well. And what we do is we get people to answer certain scenarios. And the answers to those questions are basically these 4 styles of management or leadership. So it may be something, I'm not going to share the questions just in case you do come on the training, but it's it's kind of like, how would you deal with this person in this situation? And the answers, one will be of directing, one will be coaching, one will be supportive, and one will be delegating. And what we do is it's a number of questions, multiple choice depending on which one they're choosing, and afterwards we get them to add up their scores and to see where they are in terms of where's their dominant style. So on this board here would basically would have, I don't know, a few people would be like, they'd answer more highly in directing, and then like maybe a few people in coaching. But what's really interesting is that the amount of times I've done this training is that hardly anybody gets to delegating and only a handful of people get to supportive. More people get to coaching, but even more people get to directing. And if you've been in a role for any amount of time, is that you will know this person. You will definitely know this person, because this person will tell you how to do this, when it needs to be done, and they'll just expect you to do it. Very high direction, but they won't have the support with it. So that's what we do in the training. We find out what people's dominant management style, leadership style is, and then what we can do is, as in all our trainings, we can start a conversation and go, right, well, how do we get from directing to coaching to supportive and delegating? Because what happens here, and it's a really important note to add, is that as a manager and a supervisor in what industry you are, is that we only have so much time, and all of these things take time. Now, directing takes a certain amount of time. You know what needs to be done. The other person is told what to do. But But what happens here is that people come back because you're telling them a one-way conversation, but communication is key. And it's also when we tell someone what to do and they don't understand what that is, whose fault is that? I would say it's the person that's communicating it, because they have the information to deliver. Coaching will take more time in the short term because you're actually having more two-way conversations. It's not as simple as going, right, you need to do this is how long it will take, and this is the quality that you need. This will be more about, well, how would you do it? And then actually like coaching someone, like in sports, how do you get to the successful end result, whatever that is. Supportive, then you're starting to come back in like less time, because you've got the trust there. You've maybe this is training. They know what they're doing now, so you can afford to be less directive. You're still there in the background. You're still supporting them if they need it. And then delegating obviously is less time. A lot of people fast forward and just basically go, right, someone's working for me, let's delegate, because it seems as if it's it's a quick fix. It's like, well, I'm not doing it, someone else is doing it, so they're taking the time to do it. The problem with that is that if they don't know the quality it needs to be done by, how long it takes, and the way you want it, then delegating can be, it can be problematic. So this whole model here is based on situational leadership, again by the gentleman that I will put in the when I do the edit of this video. It's a great look at how what your dominant management style is, and also there'll be a following video to this because it will discuss how this is most useful. So I'll leave it there. Thanks for watching. It's David Shipp for Coaching Construction. Stay safe and all the best. Bye bye.